Last video, I showed you my biological age of 32.4. I turned 47 May 12th. After my blood work came, the biological age turned out to be 32.4. That's roughly around 15 years younger. And how Iris, my health AI, helped me lower by a year. So the previous year it was 33.4, and then I lowered it by a year, so now it's 32.4. So this video, I'm going to show you exact 3 steps or framework that you can implement today to be like me, or if you're interested in lowering your biological age, younger than your actual age, this is the video for you. I guarantee you by end of this video, the 3 steps that I'm going to address, uh, it's easy to follow. Again, it's just small changes here and there with the biggest return. Hello, I'm Shankar, 47-year-old engineer who uses AI to optimize health, life, and business. As you all know, my goal to live until 99, and Iris, my health AI, is going to help me get there. So, three pillars or framework, however you want to call. It's based on my real results, 16 plus years of blood work. All the data, the nutrition data, genetics data, all fed into my Iris Health AI, and I kind of distilled into 3 distinct pillars. Right, that's what I'm going to share with you. So just it's easy for me because I've been doing this for a long time, for more than a decade. But for someone who's going to start new, it takes a little bit of discipline and focus. But I promise you, if you follow these 3 pillars, as close as possible, the results are guaranteed. Your biomarkers are going to look different from before and after you start following these 3 pillars or framework, and your overall well-being is going to be amazing. All right, let me switch to the slides, and I'm going to share the framework. So pillar 1, it addresses metabolic health. Pillar 2, sleep architecture. Pillar 3, muscle maintenance. Again, if you look at these, it's basically 3 pillars or 3 framework, and one is focused on your metabolic health, overall metabolic health. Second is sleep architecture. And third, your muscle maintenance. All right. So let's address pillar number 1. All right. Pillar number 1, metabolic health. All right. Insulin. Again, insulin is a hormone, one of the most important ones in your body. So think of insulin as a master key, right? Its primary job is to regulate your blood sugar, which is glucose levels, and ensure cells have the energy they need to function. Produced by your beta cells in your pancreas, insulin enters your bloodstream whenever you eat. So every time food enters your body, insulin is made. So the food is converted to glucose, insulin is made, and everything else kind of controlled by it. So that's why it's kind of like a master hormone. One of the key hormones that kind of drives fat storage, inflammation, hormone disruption, cellular aging, and cancer risk. Okay. So my levels are 3.6, average 8 to 12, pre-diabetic 15 plus. So what does this mean, right? You will see, I mean, it's pretty sad. One person that could be diabetic, right? Whether you yourself, your wife, your uncle, aunt, brother, sister, mom, dad, somebody has diabetes, right? And this is the root cause of it. So if you understand insulin and how to control it, guys, I'm telling you, this is the biggest return on investment. If you don't know about insulin, if you don't know how glucose is regulated by your body, go watch a YouTube video. It's fascinating, and the more you understand, the better you are going to be, in understanding the metabolic health of your body and how to fix it. Okay, everything is insulin. I'm telling you right now, write it down. Everything is insulin. It triggers fat storage. It causes inflammation. Higher insulin causes inflammation. It disrupts other hormones in your body, and it makes you age faster. Okay, so what your doctor misses are typical doctor misses, right? On your left side, Metabolically healthy, that's mine. So right now it's 32.4. It's an old slide. On the right side, it's average American, right? Average citizen here. On the left, the blue one is your blood glucose, right? That's the range. Remember, I showed you my lingo data. So I wear a CGM, right now doing the exercise. It's a lingo CGM. I encourage you guys to buy this. It's a 14-day. I don't get any money from Lingo or anything. I think there's a version as well. It's a different brand. So I like Lingo. It comes with an app, which I didn't like the app. I created my own app for you guys. It's free, glucose.claritylabs.com if you want to try it. But long story short, this tells you what food you eat, and it measures your glucose, this blue line, in the chart, right? So ideally you need to stay within 75 to 125 range, you know and that's basically a healthy person. And then the insulin is what's secreted by your body to control that glucose after you eat, and that needs to be in this range. Okay, so that's between 5 and 10. That's your this axis with the red font numbers. On the left axis, the blue font, that's for your glucose. Okay, so ideally, insulin does its job. As soon as the food enters, your glucose rises. Insulin comes in, controls it, so they all do their own job and you move on. On the right side is what happens, right? So glucose shoots up and your whole metabolic health is bad, right? So your insulin itself, it's on the higher end. So it just kind of drives up, comes down, controls your insulin. So you see the issue here, right? So the normal person, me, right? My insulin control is excellent. On the right side, it's not, because your base insulin itself, it's already high, and your pancreas keeps secreting more and more and more, trying to bring this glucose down. Okay. So what happens is your doctor, when you go visit, he checks your, basic glucose, and then everything within this range. He said, good, go home, you're fine. But he misses this insulin level, okay, the fasting insulin. So most doctors don't check, but I highly recommend you guys to go check. Again, this needs to be in this bottom range, 0 to 10, not on the upper range. So this guy's fasting insulin is 15 to shoots all the way to 35. That's not good. All right. Okay, how to control insulin. Okay, this is the action item. Protein first, carbs last. This one simple change on how you eat, it's going to lower your insulin by 30%, that spike. So if you go to my previous, do you see this spike? It's going to bring 30% down. So protein first. So if you're eating any meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, always prioritize protein. So what is protein? Eggs, meat, any meat, cheese, Greek yogurt, all that stuff. Those are all protein. Whey is protein. And carbs, rice, bread, pasta, all those are carbs. Okay. Action two, move after eating. This is another one. 10-minute walk. Muscle soaks up glucose without insulin. So and then it brings the response down. So there's a lot of studies that came, post walk after a meal, brings your insulin down quite dramatically. So don't eat a big meal and sit on the couch. It's bad. Okay, go move. That's action two. Action three, test with the glucometer or CGM, like the one I showed you. Always know your insulin, guys. It's one thing, obviously know your weight, but know your insulin level. It's $43. Go buy it on Amazon. It's a 14-day. Try to do it once a year. I recommend 2 times a year, but once a year. Learn what foods trigger your insulin up and down, or glucose up and down, and try to adjust it. You'll definitely notice, right? If you follow the action one, protein first, carbs last, your insulin is not going to spike as much, or glucose is not going to shoot up as much. And then, after you eat a dinner, go for a walk. If your lunch at work, eat your lunch, go for a walk. 10 minutes, that's all it takes. All right. So that's pillar number one. This is a very critical one. Go understand your glucose response to meals, take action, and move on. Again, protein, protein, protein. I cannot say this enough. Protein first. All right, pillar number two, sleep. If you don't know this, sleep is everywhere. Everybody talks about sleep now. The poor sleep impacts controls everything. Poor sleep impacts your insulin resistance by 30%, inflammation and cortisol, growth hormone goes down, testosterone goes down, blocks cellular cleanup. Okay. Your body is like a computer. Okay. Sleep would be a nightly software update and battery calibration. So you need that sleep. Minimum 7 to 9 hours of sleep matters. For me personally, I function better, anything about between the 7 to 8 hour sleep. That's a must. I'm pretty picky on my sleep. So after the pillar one, which is, you control your insulin, glucose, all that stuff with the right food, protein first, and all that stuff. Next, go check the boxes, sleep. A lot of people, if you're 40, 50, again, party days are over, right? You cannot hang out until midnight, binge watch Netflix, whatever, or hang out with friends. It's not going to work. Your body can take a beating when you're younger, but as you get older, that's not the case. So at night when you sleep, repair happens, growth happens, brain cleanup happens, and then the entire hormone gets balanced. Okay. Sleep is very important. This is the pillar number two. So how to optimize sleep? Consistent bedtime. For me, I go to sleep around 9:30, 9. So plus or minus 30 minutes. Always try to go to sleep around the same time. Then you can get up at the same time. This is the big one. Last meal 3 to 4 hours before bed. Okay, so if you're going to bed at 10, the last bite at 10, 7 or 6. Again, don't go to bed, with a full tummy. That's not good. The reason being, like I said, the first one right after you go for a walk, have that 3 to 4 hour solid window after the last bite before you go to bed. But if you go to bed with the food, the your stomach full, right? If you eat at 8 and then you go to bed at 9, you just sitting on your tummy. Your body's working very hard to burn those calories from that food, and it's not doing the other stuff like repair, cleanup, all that stuff, right? So definitely follow this 3 to 4 hours. Put the fork down, spoon down. That's it. Don't go to kitchen, and that should be a last meal 3 to 4 hours before bed. And try to sleep in a cool place. So I try to sleep between 65 to 68. A lot of studies show that when you sleep in a cool, dark, quiet place, your body heals faster. You go to sleep faster. Your RAM, your deep sleep, all the stuff kicks in full gear, and it's completely rested. Your body just goes into this recovery mode, cleanup mode. So environment matters. Make sure it's 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, dark and quiet. For me personally, I use a white noisemaker. And I train my kids the same. My wife, we all sleep with that noisemaker on. The reason being, when we travel, I travel a lot, so that helps me. I take the noisemaker, my brain is wired, I turn it on, and then I shut down, all the other noise, and then just go sleep fine. All right. That's another simple hack that you can do. Again, alcohol is bad. I don't drink. If you guys, you know, quit alcohol, there's nothing good comes from alcohol. But, if that's something that's hard to kick, limit alcohol, to bare bones, very, very minimal. Again, last drink 4 hours before bed. Okay. Again, 2 drinks cuts deep sleep in half. I mean, you can do a lot of, you can research a lot of studies. Alcohol is bad news, guys. So I would stay away from it. But if you really need to take a beer or something, again, 4 hours before bed. Anything after that is just ruins your sleep. You can check, use any of these Garmin's or Whoop or Aura Ring. You will definitely notice your sleep. It's pretty. The data is there, right? So as soon as you take a drink and look at your sleep score, or all your other scores with your watch, or your health ring or whatever, the data is there. So s- all right, pillar three, muscle. All right, muscle equals longevity. Okay, you don't die from getting old, you die from getting weak. Okay, the facts. After 40, me 47, we lose 3 to 8% muscle per decade. It's pretty bad. All right. Aging is bad. By 70, we lose 30 to 40% of the muscle. Sarcopenia is the number one death predictor. Okay. So average path, typical Americans, or, average person. Sedentary, loose muscle, insulin resistance, yearly death. It's pretty bad. Okay. So what's the right path? Maintain muscle. The more muscle, you're naturally sensitive to insulin. So your production, the insulin, all those responses, will be very amazing. Like it'll be, kicking in high gear. And you could be active until 90 plus. For me, my goal is 99. So how do you do that? Also, why or sorry, muscle matters, right? More muscle, better glucose control, metabolic rate. Muscle burns 3 times more calories than fat. Hormone factory, resistance training creates more testosterone. Fall prevention, strong legs, independence until you die. So again, go to gym, work out. Again, my testosterone, at 46, 683 nanogram per deciliter, it's pretty good. Again, my free T is on the lower end, which I kind of covered, how I'm optimizing it. But guys, muscle matters. All right. That's that's very, very important. Okay, how do we build and maintain muscle? Action one, protein, protein, protein. Remember the first pillar I said, protein. I always start a meal with a protein. Same thing comes here for muscles too. Aim for 30-gram plus protein at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I know it's tough. If you think about it, it's not. Okay. 4 eggs plus yogurt or protein shake quickly adds up to 30 grams. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I'm not going to explain all the details. Again, just eat eggs. Eggs are a complete source of protein. It has a lot of other, healthy fats and vitamins and other nutrients in it. Cannot go wrong with eggs. And then throw in a whey powder. I prefer whey isolate. It's easy to digest, and it kind of absorb faster. So, and then Greek yogurt, 0% fat. I like that as well. Throw in some frozen blueberries in it. It's like ice cream. And then action two, resistant training. I know time is tough. Aim for at least 2 times a week. I do, I'm crazy. I try to do 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes six. I take a day off. Even the day off, I usually go for a walk. But hit major muscle groups, legs, push, pull, and then core, 20 to 30 minutes. So legs is could be squats, leg extensions, that kind of exercises. Push, like push-ups, bench press, incline bench press, all that stuff works. Pull, your pull-up, you can do just regular pull-up, lat pull-ups, or any kind of that stuff that kind of, you do the pull motion. And then core. So what I mean by that is, basic cardio, go a walk. If you want to run a mile, don't push too much. Just, kind of keep that, heart engine going. That's very essential. And action three is progressive overload, right? Increase weight every week, increase reps. There's a lot of ways to slice and dice this. Again, you're not trying to set a PR. Again, if you're 40, 50, please don't do that. Don't go crazy on deadlift or bench press. Don't watch this YouTube guy doing, 500 pounds for, man, I'm going to go, guess what? You're going to break your back. And, my first recommendation I always tell people is like, guys, first rule of the gym, don't get hurt. Guess you get hurt, you're 2 3 weeks behind, right? That's, you cannot do much, you're stuck. So always be careful, be cautious. You're not going for Olympic record here, right? Your goal is to build muscle and maintain muscle. Okay, progressive overload. Add a 5 pounds here, add a 2 pound here, or if you're not willing to add pounds, or if you kind of stagnant, just increase the reps, right? Some days you can hit PR, some days you cannot. It's okay. The goal is to go do the exercise consistently in and out, increase the rep, increase the weight, or lower the weight, increase the rep. There's so many ways to do. Track progress. That's your, always take notes. I've been doing this so long. I kind of remember, all my, um, weight and stuff. But if you're new to the gym or you're just starting a program, track progress, right? You start with the 45-pound plate or 35-pound plate for bench press. If you're graduating to 45-pound plate, take note of it. Then your baseline and how your progress and how your strength gains are coming from. So going back, summary, right? 3 pillars: metabolic health, sleep, muscle. So pillar one, control sugar, insulin. Again, go get a CGM, glucose meter, whatever, measure your baseline, try to understand what foods, goes up and down. Again, carbs are bad news. I'm low carb personally. I don't eat that much carbs. And I recommend the same if you're 40, 50, carbs are bad news. Eliminate it. I know it sucks, but try to limit it as much as possible. If you need to eat carbs, eat very minimal, but prioritize protein. Every meal should have a protein. No excuse, guys. 40 plus, 50 plus. Every meal should have a protein. Aim for 30 plus grams. Sleep, sleep, sleep. 7 to 9 hours minimum. You got to do it. No other way. 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, cold, quiet. And then I personally use a white noise maker. But if you like sleeping quiet, that's fine. But that's another tip as well. If some people have a hard time falling asleep, the noise maker, the more you train the body or your brain, and then you turn that noise maker on, you automatically zone in and you're good. And then the resistant training, exercise, it matters. Muscle matters. The more muscle you build, it's good for you, good for the glucose regulation. It burns calories. Muscle, 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 right? As I age, as you guys age, it prevents you from injuries. Healing heals faster. It controls hormones. There's a lot of benefits for building muscle. Again, it's not just for bodybuilders, right? You're not there to go, be a IFB pro or or a competing in a competition. Your goal is to gradually increase the load, reps, and just start a program. There's a lot of bodybuilding programs out there. I'll use machines, right? If you go to the gym, there's a lot of machines. Don't feel bad for using a machines. Machines are amazing invention, especially for people who are new to gym. Just go, bench press machine or, leg extension machine. You don't even have to touch a barbell, period. Just machines do fantastic. Again, there's resistance there. Just add weight, and then keep moving. So to summarize, so we went through this three pillars, right? That's 16 years of, biohacking, supplement experimentation, and health optimization. And this is where I stand, right? These If I need to nail down, this is what it's going to be, the three pillars. So the lesson here isn't that expensive protocols don't work. It's that we often overlook the fundamentals that drive 80% of the results. Okay, these three habits create a metabolic foundation that makes everything else work better. Okay, if you're spending hundreds of dollars monthly on supplementation, medicine, but eating carbs first, skipping post meal movement, or eating late, you're optimizing the wrong variables. Okay. So the engineer in me loves this because it's system thinking applied to biology. Small changes in timing and sequence create massive changes in outcomes, right? It's not about adding complexity, it's about optimizing the order of operations. Start with one habit, master it for 2 weeks, add the second, third, and that's it. The compound effect will surprise you, right? Pick one. I'm not saying just go do all three pillars or habits right away. Uh, Pick one and try it, master it, go crazy, go very detailed into it. Pick two, master it, go crazy to it, and then pick three, the third one, and then go crazy. And once you create this momentum and the discipline and the focus, after a while, it comes like a second nature. Uh, I'm telling you, if you go follow these three steps, which I'm the proof. My biological age is the proof. I showed you the proof. I don't know what else to show you. It works and is validated by all my data, 16 years of blood work, uh, and then, using my AI, all the stuff, this is where it boils down to. These just three methods or three pillars or three habits, however you want to call it, go follow it. Anyways, if this resonates with you, subscribe, like, comment. Again, I'm passionate about health. I love AI now that it gives me an extra extension of my brain to do all this stuff, analyze, and kind of go deep into it. So if you like this video, give me thumbs up. And any questions or anything related to this, leave a comment. I'll definitely respond to it right away. Anyways, I hope you guys pick one, follow it. At the bare minimum, go get a CGM. Okay, this will give you a lot of data. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to me, watching this video. We'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much.